And today's jobs report also showed wages continuing to go up. This as job openings have hit a record high. There were 10.9 million job openings in the U.S. at the end of July compared to 7.7 million unemployed in today's jobs report. 2.7 million are long-term unemployed looking for at least 6 months. More than 2 million are permanent job losses, meaning job seekers whose employment ended involuntarily. Christy Hoffman is the General Secretary with UNI Global Union, and she joins me live. Great to have you with us today.
Thank you. Thanks, Allison.
So why are companies having trouble hiring when millions of people are still unemployed?
Well, there's a lot of reasons for this, mismatches and misalignments between where people are unemployed and where the jobs are. But I think in general, we have to think about it as a great reassessment of work in America, because more than a labor shortage, there's a shortage of decent wages, decent work, good workplace safety, support for childcare. And I think that, there just aren't enough good jobs. And one of the things that we look at is that there's just so far to go for a jobs recovery. Is the reality, is the jobs aren't good enough. We still have 40% of workers who are working, earning less than $15 an hour, a quarter of them with no sick leave. We need more dignity on the job, more collective bargaining if we want to rebalance the economy, but also if we want to get people to come back into the labor force, because that's a big piece of it. You just talked about how so many women had dropped out of the labor market. We need more support for long-term care and childcare. The high cost of care is a big obstacle for many women to return to work. I think 8 million women altogether are out of the job market because of inadequate care options. And we also need, go ahead.
Finish your thought, please.
Well, I was just going to say the other piece of it, and that can be addressed through some of the legislative proposals on the table. The other thing is that we've got to get more collective bargaining back into the picture. If we want to rebalance the economy, we need a fair process to establish unions at work, and that means passing the PRO Act. And those are two important legislative pieces that are going to bring people back into the labor market.
Especially over the past 18 months, it seems some companies seem like they're trying to improve, at least in the wage department. They're giving increased pay, like Walgreens, McDonald's, Chipotle. Why is raising wages, which was a huge fight before the pandemic, why is that not enough anymore?
Well, I think the reality is we're hearing a lot of anecdotes about raises, increases that are going up, and some are increasing slightly. But let's say if you look at grocery store workers, for example, that's a 7% increase since the beginning of the pandemic. That's not very much for low wage workers. So, the wages aren't really increasing that much. And I think the numbers today were 4.7% year on year. That's not that much for workers who were earning poverty wages to start with. I mean, we can look at some workers who no wonder they're not excited to return to unsafe job, $10 an hour, irregular hours, no one to take care of the kids. This is the reality for non-union work in private sectors in the US. And I think that you've got to look at where you do have workers laid off who are sort of protected in a union environment. They are coming back to their jobs. The security and cleaners in New York City, for example, or the workers at United Airlines, they've been laid off. They're all coming back. There's not a question in that kind of environment. And you also...
I'm sorry to interrupt. I want to be running out of time, and I do want to get one last question, and your thoughts there really taken, I promise, to the entertainment industry in the U.S., because there were results from a survey that your organization conducted that shows 60-hour work weeks are the norm in the TV film industry. The results were published in support of UNI's U.S. affiliate, the International Association of Theatrical Stage Employees, which voted in favor of a strike if there's no agreement on working conditions with the Alliance of Motion Picture and TV Producers. First of all, how are negotiations going?
I don't know the answer to that. It's been quiet, so one can only assume when negotiations are quiet that they're in hard bargaining. But I would say that these issues have been on the table for a long time, and they haven't made progress. So let's hope they're making progress now after this terrific show of support through this strike authorization vote, which frankly is the first vote of this kind since World War II. It's really remarkable. But we have these very, very basic issues on the table: the right to take lunch breaks and, have a reasonable working day. And it's striking that in 2021 we're still fighting about the length of the day of work, but that's where we are. So again, let's hope they're making progress.
Are you hopeful that it will end up the way you want it to end up?
I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful, because this union is completely united around these set of demands, which are very basic. It's not. There's economics on the table, of course, but it's not simply economics. It's really about the right to have a reasonable working day, to have some breaks. And that just shouldn't be so difficult to achieve. This is a really profitable industry right now, and these streaming giants have done very well during the pandemic. We've all enjoyed our Netflix, but it's time to give back to the workers and also allow them to have a dignified time on the job.
Christy Hoffman, thanks so much for the conversation, and thanks for your time today.
Thank you.